Alright, this is the Finance 451 Mutual Fund project. And first we will be comparing two mid-cap domestic funds to each other. This being the first and this one being the second. As you can see here, our first category is expense, and this fund has a expense ratio of 0.18% compared to the second fund of 2.05%. And you can see here the average expense ratio for similar funds in this area is 1.06%. So we do like this one more at this point in time. Here's a calculation of fees on $10,000 after 10 years if on average it returned 9% a year. On this fund you would only pay $423 in fees. In similar funds you would have paid $2,393, so we real like this. But here you can see you're paying $4,429 in fees, which is not good. So we like the first one better so far. Here you can see there's no loads, and in this one there's a 1% load, or a 1% redemption fee load, and a 1% 12B1 fee load. So we don't like that. Turnover rate is 81% in the first one, 76% in the second one, so they're pretty close together. This fund has been managed by these two people since 2010 and 2012, so they have some time under their belts managing this fund. Here there was no information that you could find on the managers, just their names. So lastly, we're going to compare performance. If you invested $10,000, this is the amount you'd be looking at after 10 years, which is $29,223.07. 10-year performance at 11.32, 5-year 14.45, and so on. Here you have the average fund performance in this area, so you can see they're pretty close, but even though the average fund performance outperformed this fund, the expense ratio catches up for it. Here you can see, even though the expense ratio is really high, it did not necessarily outperform the average fund. So this, we would go with VSEQX over TOECX in the mid-cap domestic fund area. Next, we'll compare two international funds, this being the first one, this being the second. First, we want to compare the expense ratios. These are both growth funds, by the way. The expense ratio in the first is 0.45%, which is compared to 1.14 is the average for similar funds in this area. And this fund has a 2.05% expense ratio, which is a good bit above the average of funds in this area. So far, we're liking the first fund. And then again, we have the fees on 10K after 10 years at a 9% return on investment. You would end up paying $1,044, whereas similar funds you'd average paying $2,564. And here you would end up paying $4,429, where on average you would pay $2,564. So we do like this fund better again. There are no loads on this fund, which is another plus, whereas this fund has a front-end load of 5%, which is a pretty significant amount. And there's also a 12B1 fee of 1%. So again, we like the first fund better for that. The turnover rate in this one is 15.1%, which is pretty passively managed. Here you have a 148.4% turnover rate, so they're turning around a lot of different stocks in this mutual fund. There was not much information on either manager for either fund. And here is the performance. As you can compare, the 10-year compared to the average funds in the area, which this fund is really outperforming the average funds. Or if you go here, it's averaging below. So we would definitely prefer this fund, VWIGX, over AFGPX for many reasons in the international sector. Excuse me. In this, we are comparing two health sector funds. We'll be using the same measurements. In the first one, we have a expense ratio of 0.038%, whereas in this one, we have an expense ratio of 1.86% compared to an average of 1.24% in this sector. So we do like the first one better again. Fees on $10,000 after 10 years at a 9% return on investment would be $884 for this fund, whereas fees on this fund would be $4,052. So that is another plus for the first fund, saving a lot of money. There are no loads on the first fund, whereas there is a front-end load of 5.75% here and a 12B1 fee of 0.25%. So we do not like that. A turnover rate last year on the first fund was 10.9%, which is pretty passively managed, whereas this one is 124%, pretty actively managed. In this fund, this manager has been advising this fund since 2008, whereas this fund, the manager has only been in control of the fund for 1 year. So we like the first one better for that reason. And here's the performance back on the first fund. As you can see, compared to the average similar fund performances, it is beating that performance. And here you can compare these. Even though it is beating the average, the expense ratio is really high, and it's not. And this fund is also beating the average, so we would choose this fund.